Hi friends! Welcome to the Overcomers, a movement and a group of people who have overcome and they've got a story. That's what the Overcomers is all about. You sharing your story. Why? Because there is power in your story and people need you. They need your voice. They need your story of hope, faith, and inspiration that where they're at right now is not the end. They need to know if you can overcome, so can they. Today, I'm excited to share with you another story of one such overcomer. So let's go check out who it is. I am honored to be here today with my friend Monique Smith. Monique, thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So Monique, a few things about her in case you don't have the pleasure of knowing her like I have had the pleasure of getting to know her. Monique is a woman who is living again, a young professional businesswoman and coach joining us from Mississauga, Ontario. She's overcome a lot in life, from relationships that were a train wreck, health that was in the toilet, to drowning in debt, just to name a few. She was in a deep, dark pit, feeling trapped, depressed, and suicidal. Now she's an elite personal development coach and businesswoman with a hope and reason to live, with so much life for others. She started dreaming, and now she's going after those dreams and loving the journey with so much more energy than before. But what I'm blown away most by with you, Monique, is your generosity of spirit. You are so consistent with edification. Every time I get online or join a group call on Zoom, I'm so blown away by how you faithfully edify others, no matter what the platform or reason for meeting is. And to be a woman who has come from a place of being in hiding to now being in a place where everywhere you go, you leave an impression on people is a powerful thing to witness. You don't just spread light and life whenever you get the chance. You truly listen to people and make certain that your words will really honor and make that person feel seen and valued. And you do so every time, no matter how you might feel, what you personally might be going through at the time. You are truly a set apart woman, my friend. And that is one reason why I am so excited to have you on today and for you to share your story with everyone else, how you went from where you once were to where you are now, and this amazing woman with so much light in life. So take us on that journey. How did you go from that place to here?
Well, first of all, Jen, thank you so much for inviting me on to share today. And I mean, just hearing your story and some of the things that you've gone through has been such an inspiration to me. And it just has helped to build my faith so much in, the great creator. Just seeing the things that he's been doing in your life, the things that you've been accomplishing, the people that you've been touching their lives by sharing these stories with your overcomers movement, all the things that you're doing to be such a bright, shining light to touch more hurting hearts. It's just been such an inspiration. We need more people out there spreading lights in this dark world. And it's just such an honor, even with all the other things that you do with your coaching and everything that you're involved with touches people's lives so much and just helps to pull them out of the darkness where they are or out of a part of despair and just not knowing where they're heading and just helping them to get to where they want to go. And it's just such an honor to be with you here today. Thank you so much.
You're so amazing. See, friends, edification. Look at that. Well, thank you too for your words too, Monique. I so appreciate that. And it's been such a joy getting to share space with you and share so many things with you. So yeah, take us on that journey and maybe even start like, what was life like for you back then?
Oh boy. I will tell you, it's painful to look back at, the things that were happening. Because now that I'm I wouldn't say I'm on the other side as in I've arrived at some place, but I would say looking back in the rearview mirror as to what was happening and just not being consciously aware of, you know, like I'm Dallas Cohen. She had mentioned something about like not knowing how to respond to certain things that happen and you feel just confusion and you're not sure was this good, was this bad, because you felt confused about it. And just looking back at things that happened, like even in my childhood, um, it's like I knew they weren't good, but I didn't know why, and I couldn't really articulate it. So it's almost feeling like there's something wrong, but you can't really say, because I was so young, but you can't really say what it was. You can't really explain yourself. And I'm more of an introverted kind of a person. I'm really deep into my head, do a lot of thinking in my head, and people have to like draw me out of my head. It's deep, deep oceans in there.
Mm.
So just the things that, I was going through over those years. And now that I've been, seeking out healing and seeking out recovery and everything like that, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, there was some trauma there that had happened, and not just once, but more than once, and even things that happened later on in life, to the point where I was just despairing of life. Like there, I just saw no reason, no purpose for my existence. I mean, as far as I was concerned, life was just pain. That's all it was. It was just pain. Like there was nothing redeeming or joyful in it. I came from a small island, only child, tons of cousins, moved to a completely different country where I was an outsider, didn't know anyone, so many different languages, different culture. It was such a shock. When they say culture shock, it was like huge culture shock, and just the bullying and everything that happened um throughout the years. I didn't see any purpose for my existence. I thought that, I was a mistake, that, God obviously screwed up something, because, this is not who I'm supposed to be, or that's not, the way I'm supposed to be. And it's just, I mean, it's painful to think about it, but I just was in a place where I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't know how to talk about what was happening to me. I didn't feel like anybody understood me. I didn't think anybody cared to listen, because
Mm.
I've been told, "Oh, Monique, you talk too much. You need to stop talking." So I just stopped talking and just like internalized everything, and I just didn't know like where to turn. And I mean, like I just look for anything, like anything just to relieve the pain in some way. I mean, oh my gosh, I could get into everything. Was I mean, when you think of addiction, and I mean, even just saying the word, it has such a strong visceral reaction in my gut, because when people hear addictions, um, it's always, well, what is the person doing? What is the addiction? What is the habit? What's the thing that they're doing? And sometimes there's a judgment about that versus, well, what's the pain that's leading to the addiction, that someone may feel that's the only way they can escape it. And I found myself in a life of addiction because of all of this.
Wow. Friend, you what that phrase you just said of asking the question, not what is the addiction, but what is the pain? So many of us can relate to our mind going to, wait, what is it that they're addicted to? How can we help? Versus asking the question, no, what is the pain? Why are they in pain that they are in a place of addiction? So as you navigated everything that you navigated, you said you were in this place where you knew a lot of bad things had happened, but it sounded like it was pretty murky to you in your mind and in your heart, and what even happened. So how did you go back and start identifying some of those moments of pain that had brought you to this place?
Well, I would say, for me, and I mean, everybody's journey is different, but for me, after years, dabbling in different things that never brought any relief. If anything, they made the issues worse and just brought them to the forefront. But after years of doing that and just getting more hopeless by the day, um, well, I would just say that I was rescued. It literally felt like I was in the middle of the ocean with no way of getting out, like just bobbing my head above, trying to keep my head above water. And for me, it was my faith that pulled me out. Like, I feel like I was rescued by, the creator himself. I believe that he rescued me and pulled me out of that murky place and gave me hope. That was the first thing that happened, even though nothing changed. Like nothing, like the circumstances were still what they were. Um, but one thing that was different is that I had hope now, whereas before I had none. I felt like, okay, so there's not just eternal suffering on this planet, then you die. But there's actually something more to what I've been living. And I was like, okay. And one of the things that happened, Jen, and even now to this day, I'm like, did it really happen or did I just dream? I literally felt like I had a dream. And in this dream, there were a couple things that happened. And after I had the dream, like just when I was in like the deepest pit where I was like, okay, I need to end this now. Like I can't deal with this pain anymore. I need to get out of this pain. And I had this dream and I saw a couple things in the dream. And after I woke up from the dream, I was like, oh, okay. So maybe things can get better because the things I saw, when I tell you they were impossible, I mean like impossible. Like I knew there was no way on earth those things could possibly happen. And the only way they would have is if things changed, is if things improved. That's the only way they could have happened. And I knew this. I knew that. And that was literally the point where I think that's when switch, the flip, the switch was flipped. And I was like, okay. And that's when I started, crying out to him and saying, help me, help me. I don't know what I'm doing. Help me. I need you. That was literally the first moment that I started to, okay, I think I can breathe a little bit now. And that was, that was almost 2 decades ago, actually, come to think of it.
Wow. So you literally feel like he came and helped you and he did so through a dream. Was there anything else specific within that context, 20 years ago of you saying that he came in and really rescued you? Was there more to that specific story and context of his rescuing?
Well, it literally felt like just because I couldn't, like my mind was just under constant attack. It felt like, how they talk about a gang attack? Like a whole swarm of people just beating someone to a bloody pulp. It literally felt like my mind was under constant attack, like constant beating to a bloody pulp. Like I could barely string two coherent thoughts together. That's how much was assailing and coming against my mind. And one of the first things I noticed was just a less noise in my mind. Like I could start to think a bit clearer, which was one thing that I had noticed. And another thing that happened that kind of shook me at first, but it made me realize, wait a second, I really have made a change because I was really doubtful. Did I really make a change? Or what about this? What about that? And I'd had so many fears, like a fear of dying. I had a fear of so many things. And when I actually started asking myself this question, was this really real? Was this conversion real? Is he really going to, be with me forever? Is he really going to, all the things, the amazing things that scripture promises? Um, and when I spoke to someone about it and they said, when was the first time you started having these doubts? And I said, well, after I said the prayer and, I asked him to rescue me. And they're like, so maybe that's the reason why you're having the doubts because now that you've done it, you can't doubt something that's not real almost. So I was like, oh my gosh, it just gave me this, like I said, this renewed hope. Like, okay, so this is not the end. Like, there's something beyond what I'm going through. There's something beyond the circumstances that I'm in. It doesn't just have to suck forever. I don't have to bleed out in pain forever. Like there is more to this. And that was literally just the beginning steps. Like it took years to work out that healing to get to where I'm at right now. But that was literally the first thing that
Wow.
started.
Wow. What a powerful message from the father right in that place of this is not the end. Talk about vision being dropped right into you. So tell us how that next period of life went. You said, it became a journey of now finding healing and things transitioning. So what was that help continuing to look like as you navigated forward?
Well, one of the things that really helped me was just focusing on my faith, growing in my faith, connecting with people that are like-minded, really, being a part of a community, people that supported me, that encouraged me. I started to come out of hiding more. I wasn't just constantly, to myself all the time, not going anywhere, not doing anything, not around, not wanting to be around other people. I came out of hiding and started being around people more, started learning more about myself,
Mm.
and just started to get to work on knowing him and knowing more about him, growing in my faith. And I would say the biggest turning point after that point, where things really started to go on, like it was going like this, then it just went up like this, was literally when I started attending a training seminar called For Steps to Success, that was put on by Destiny Global. There were so many things that happened at that event. Like, I can't even get into all of that. But the biggest thing was, I mean, like you mentioned, I had relationships that were a train wreck. Like, literally, they were on life support, and I was ready to pull the plug because I was so fed up. I was drowning in debt. I didn't know what to do. I was almost 3 years virtually unemployed at that time, miserably unemployed. And after plugging into training, I landed a position, increased my income 1,000% the next year, paid off like almost $27,000 of debt now. And as far as relationships go, those relationships, I did not pull the plug. I made peace in those
Mm.
relationships. And then so many things have happened from there. I've gotten jobs over the years that I wasn't qualified for. I got a better understanding of who I was and who I was created to be. And I made the decision, along with coaching. I've been hiring coaches to help me along the way because I know coaches make you better. They help you to identify the areas of challenge that you have that maybe I'm blind to, because I know everyone has blind spots. I definitely have some blind spots. And I need someone sometime to say, hey, Monique, you may want to have a look at this. Have you considered taking a look at this, right? So plugging into that really has accelerated things dramatically. And where things are at right now, like it's just completely blown my mind.
So amazing, friend. It's so amazing the drastic difference of where your spirit once was to where your spirit is now. I know people are watching are probably thinking, she's so full of life. She's just beaming. And you are. You just beam life everywhere you go.
Thank
And I want to tap into something specific that I think is so beautiful and powerful with your story, and that is in the transition that has happened with your feelings. Like going from what you used to feel like to what you feel like now. When you look at that journey and that transformation, how do you feel?
Oh my gosh. I would say before, um, I honestly I felt confused. I
Mm.
was confused all the time. I just couldn't think straight. I was so fearful of everything. I would wake up like with panic attacks. I would have panic attacks, anxiety, so many things. It's almost like a positive feeling or emotion. I was like, well, what is that? Like, what's that about? Like, I don't really know. Like, maybe, if I went to the grocery store and got some junk food, then, I'd be feeding my fix of that food that I was so addicted to. And I would be like, oh, yes, I'm happy. I got my chocolates. That's pretty much the only happy buzz that I got, was when I was, doing something like that, which didn't really help me
Mm.
in the long run, created other problems. Um, but where I'm at right now, I mean, the biggest thing I could say is just I feel alive now. Like, I literally feel like before I was barely surviving. Like, forget about survival mode. It was like beneath survival mode,
Mm.
because the things that you would do for survival, I wasn't even doing that because I didn't even want to survive. So I wasn't doing any of that stuff. But literally now it's like I feel like I'm in a place of thriving now. Like things are starting to happen now. Things are starting to move. Like I'm starting to dream again. There are so many things that, I was just hustling, just going every day, gotta work the job, gotta pay the bills and pay off the debts. And just that was just my cycle for so long. And then after, going through working with these coaches and, working on myself and going through the grief recovery, which was so pivotal for me to really bring a lot of things not to the surface and to deal with it and to find the recovery and healing from that. um I mean, now I feel free. I feel like I'm not drowning anymore. Like, regardless of what happens, I know I'm not alone in it. I know that there's a solution that's already here. I just need to get the solution, get my hands on it. It literally feels like hope just like welling up in me, regardless of what happens. And just feeling like, okay, we can do this, like confidence, self esteem, so many of those things that I fought for so many times over the years. It literally just feels like I was in my own prison and
Mm.
the door was open, but I couldn't see that it was open. And when someone said, my love, the door is open, you can just walk right out, I'm like, oh, okay, then let me walk right out of there. So, I mean, it literally feels, the word I can say is just free. It just feels free, like I can dream again.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some of those things that you're dreaming for now?
Oh my goodness, there's so many of them. I would say one of the things is I've loved business for many, many years. And I remember one of my coaches said, if there's something that you find yourself just daydreaming about in your off hours, you don't have to like will yourself to think about it. It just like naturally your mind just goes there. Business is one thing that I just love. I love, and I have such respect for small business owners, especially. They sacrifice so much to provide jobs for other people so, their families can be fed and taken care of. And they provide so much value and bring so much value into the world. Corporations are great as well, but the small business owner, I feel like they sacrifice so much. I have so much respect for that, and I've always wanted to do something where it can be a blessing to someone, be a help to them. And over all these years, I realized the thing that I got criticized for probably the most, and I thought it was a bad thing because I asked a lot of questions, because I was curious about things, because I'm very introspective and I, analyze things and I try to find what's the better way, what's the more effective, efficient way. I thought that was a bad thing. And now I realize I just have a gift for helping to solve problems. Like I can help to identify and find solutions. So that's something that I've been dreaming of doing. And I actually just started last year with that. Like literally last year, December, I started doing that and booked a client. And I'm so happy to be working with them. Of course, marriage is definitely something on the radar. Having a family one day is definitely something on the radar. Traveling the world, seeing his creation, being able to give more, to charities like King's Ransom that just does amazing work all over the world. I mean, when we say the hands and feet of Jesus, they're literally doing it, like rescuing kids from sex trafficking, feeding orphans, taking care of widows. I mean, it's just amazing what they do. So that's the organization that I primarily support. But just being in a position where I'm no longer driven by, because when the debt is there, it's almost like it feels like what you make is never enough. So even though I've reached and surpassed goals that I had in my income, because the debt is there, sometimes it feels like, well, it's not enough. I'm not making enough. But it's like, hold on a second. Where were you before? Where are you now? There's progress being made. That means you're going in the right direction. You're still climbing the mountain, so keep going. So
Mm.
now I'm actually seeing to the end of the finish line of, okay, the debt will be paid off. I will start to grow the investments and things like that. And I can have the money freed up to where I can give to my heart's content. I don't have to check the bank account before I write that check to help when I hear of a cause, where they need some assistance. And, it's just not something I remember one of my mentors said to me, it's a different kind of feeling when you don't go to work in the morning because you need the money to pay the bills, but the bills are already paid. So now you can really focus on who can I help even more. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I can actually get to that point, and I'm so excited. I don't want to limit myself anymore. I feel like I've put myself in a box for far too long, and I'm ready to blow that box out of here and start living life and discovering new things. And that's what I want to do. This year, I want to make myself very uncomfortable because I know that's when I'm going to grow the most. It's just like there's no growth in my comfort zone. If I'm doing everything I'm comfortable with that feels easy, that's in my skill set, I'm not growing. So if I want to keep growing, I need to push myself, and that's what I'm going to do. This year, my word is warrior. So I'm fighting.
Mm.
I'm fighting for freedom, full, complete in every single area of my life.
Mm.
Absolutely.
So good, friend. Yes, you are a warrior. Wow, 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 wow. It's so amazing to me that you went from this place of having basically no vision and being in that place of so much darkness to holy crap, did you all hear how much vision she has now? So many things have opened up to you, and now your vision is so enormous, and you realize that it's things that are actually inside of you to do. Would you say that the key from going from no vision to that much vision has been aligning to truth and the truth of who you are?
Absolutely. Because when I didn't know who I was, I listened to what everybody else said about me, and I
Mm.
believed them. And I tried to be everything to everyone, and it almost drove me crazy. So at this point in my life, I'm like, no, I need to find out the truth, his truth, because his word is truth. And everybody else's opinion, it's their opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but it doesn't mean I have to buy their opinions, especially if it's not rooted in his truth. I can take that opinion and I can flesh it because his truth is what sets me free. That's just the bottom line. So it's because of his truth why I am free today and I'm not in bondage anymore. And do I still have challenges? Yes. I mean, I'm breathing and I'm on planet Earth. There will be problems. And there will be problems, but cheer up. But he promised there will be problems. And there have been problems, but I don't have to let the problems like assault me and throw me all over the place because it's like after so many years of walking and seeing his goodness, of seeing his faithfulness, of seeing how he brought me from despairing of life and not wanting to live to now I'm alive, I have the energy to live, I have the health to live, whereas that was not the case a couple years ago. It was a completely different health situation then, and now all these dreams that are starting to come alive, and I know it started because of his truth. That's just the bottom line.
Mm, mm. Yes, friend. Yes. So, so, so good. You just made it so simple for that person who is in that place where you once used to be. Even if all you can do, friend, if you're listening now, all you can do is find one truth. What if it starts to change everything? Just like it did for Monique. So, Monique, before we close out our interview right now, I want to give you a chance to really speak into any of our listeners who might be watching this interview and maybe they're in that place where you once used to be, where it's so dark, they're in a deep, dark pit, they're feeling depressed, trapped, maybe even suicidal. What one thing would you say to them right now?
The one thing I would say to you is don't give up. Don't give up hope. Because without hope, we have nothing. There's a reason why hope um, restores us. Without hope, there's just nothing left. But if you can find something to hold on to and talk to somebody, please don't be swimming in your head alone, letting the thoughts just assail you day and night. Speak to somebody that you trust. Tell them what has been going on. They don't have to necessarily give you advice, but some people find such release in just talking, in just sharing. Speak to somebody. reach out to them, let them know what is going on with you, tell them you need help,
Mm.
you need help, and find ways to get the help that you need. Don't suffer in silence. Don't suffer alone. If you need support, ask, because what you'll find is there's so many people who are so happy to help you, who love you so much. You're here for a purpose, you're here for a reason. Your being here is not an accident. Your listening to this broadcast is not a mistake. Yes, it is for you, regardless of the deep pit that you're in. There is always hope because you're still drawing another breath.
Mm.
So keep moving, keep pressing forward. Do not give up. This is not the end for you. Years later, you will look back on this time and you'll be speaking into other people's life and helping them to have hope and to find the same hope that you found. Your pain is not going to be wasted. It'll be used for a powerful purpose if you let it be.
Mm. So good, friend. Thank you for that word. And if you are listening right now, and that is you, like Monique said, reach out to somebody, and we'll make sure that you can click the link below, and you can reach out to us. And I'm sure you can also reach out to Monique to make sure that you get connected with some help. Monique, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share your story of what the Father has done in your life and how he has brought you from a place of so much darkness to so much light, from no vision to so much powerful vision. I cannot wait to see what you continue to do, my friend, because you're already doing such amazing things, and he has designed you to do incredible things. So keep walking, my friend, and your journey is far from over either. So just seriously, thank you for who you are. Thank you for being a woman of courage and for inspiring us all that we can overcome hard things.
Thank you so much, Jen. It's been a pleasure.
Wow, wasn't that powerful? Do you have an overcomer story? Do you know someone who needs to hear this message? Please share this video on your social platforms and tag us so we know who you are. Stay tuned as we share more overcomer stories in the weeks ahead. We're looking for you. We're looking for the overcomers. Join us. Let's come together as the overcomers. Start sharing your story. We have multiple ways you can start getting involved and repping the movement, repping your story of what he has done in your life. And last but not least, if you want to learn how to overcome, visit www.dannyjohnson.com. That's my coach, and that's where I learned how to overcome. Thank you so much for joining with us today. We believe in you, and we believe in the power of story. We believe in your story.